Welcome to Behind Closed Books, the podcast where business owners and experts reveal the financial decisions that shape their success. Each episode brings you unscripted stories of turning points, hard calls, and the numbers that changed everything to pivot, recover, and grow. If you're building a business and ready to think differently about profit, pressure, and progress, behind every smart decision is a story worth telling. This is the show. Here is your host, Craig Sheets.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Behind Closed Books. My next guest today is heavily involved in the U.S. military foundations. He is in the Shareholder Society and also a mentor at UCF Business School for both graduates and undergraduates, as well as the CEO and owner of a large IT specialized business and recruiting for highly skilled professional businesses. With that, everybody meet my next guest, Ray Bazzi. Welcome to Behind Closed Books, Ray.
Thank you, Craig, for hosting this session with me. I appreciate that.
I'm really excited to have you here today, and I know a lot of people will be interested in this podcast, especially when it comes to recruiting and IT. These are hot topics in business. So what I thought we'd do is kind of do a quick summary of the different topics we can talk about today, and who knows where it's going to lead. But these are some of the things we can kind of discuss today, I thought. Maybe talk about how does AI fit into the business model for owners of businesses and marketing and HR, kind of go into a deep dive on that later on. And then do you, and I assume maybe you work with business as well, have a cyber attack event plan? And I know it's a whole alphabet soup of acronyms, but WISP and SOC and EDR, MDR, XDR, in place for your firm and suggestions for other small business owners. I'm sure a lot of people will be interested in that topic. And then as far as the recruiting and the management side of things, how do you hold your employees accountable? I've heard people say if you can measure it, you can manage it. And there's a metrics to measure against periodically. And then what are the latest trends in your business, whether it's IT or recruiting? And what are some of the challenges and successes you had to overcome along the way? So it's a lot of things we can talk about. Do you want to get started on maybe the AI and how that fits in the business model?
It's a great buzzword, and right now everybody's looking. And if you don't have AI, you may be left behind. It's like when they created the e-pass, a lot of people didn't have the e-pass on their cars, and there was a commercial that says they showed one guy still using coins, and he's the only guy. You don't want to be that guy, and then one day you can't even access the highway, right? So with AI, it's the same thing, Craig. Very, very good question. And as a matter of fact, it's an evolving. Every day there's new things. It's an evolving field, and currently the Riga is offering AI as a service to companies that have not utilized AI in their business operation or in sales, or they're not aware where to start. So we've added the AI managed service provider to our managed service offerings to help companies say, okay, we're going to help them automate. We want to help them use AI so they are more productive and more secure.
It's funny because when you hear the word AI, you almost have two people fall into two different camps. There's the people that are absolutely terrified of AI. It's going to take my job. Major League Baseball next year, I was just talking to somebody else, is going to have the umpire is going to be an AI bot. And people are thinking, well, there goes my job. And then the other part are leaning into it and love AI, but don't know how to handle it like a wild horse in a way. So you coming along to teach people and help people, what a great asset that is.
Yeah, I mean, everything in this world has had resistance when it was introduced, right? You look at the iPhone. People's like, I'm never going to use the iPhone, smartphone, this and that, and they want to use flip phones, but then they realize their productivity is not going to be, competitive with their competition or the industry, if they're not using smartphones, if they're not getting emails, if they're not getting their social media postings for their business, they're going to fall behind. So a lot of people that resisted technology, they're realizing they have to embrace it to move forward. The same thing with AI. It's the newest technology offering. And, if you don't embrace it, you're going to fall behind. Your competition is going to eat your lunch, basically.
Yeah, literally.
Like, which is part of Microsoft, just as an example. And Copilot and Gemini, and there's advanced AI features that could make your business run faster, more efficient. It could be even with less employees, because you're able to use AI almost as use them as an employee.
So you could utilize them in ways in which an employee would have been used, but maybe either merge people's abilities to kind of go into what AI is used, or help people supplement their job with AI as well.
Yeah, for example, in the legal field, for example, Craig, uh, AI can do a lot of research. I'm not saying it's going to replace a legal assistant, but it can help the legal assistant be much more productive in researching cases and finding out precedents and doing all that. And where you need to have maybe 10 legal assistants, now you can do it with 3. And yeah, and so it increases productivity, and it makes the legal assistants focused on what's more important than just the grunt work, if you will. The grunt work can be done by AI. For example, in our recruiting process, Craig.
It's funny because in accounting, we have people in the tax world that we call them code heads. It's a joke we call them, but they call them code heads, and that's all they do. They know about tax codes, but that's all they do. They just research code. But I'm thinking, boy, AI would be so much more efficient than having a code head in the office, like you mentioned for legal. That's not something you need. You have the AI out there to do what you need to do. It's a good way to supplement it.
Yeah, our recruiters, for example, Craig, has become a lot more efficient because they can feed all the resumes of the applicants to AI with the job position, and they can get percentage fits to that role. And now a work that was taking us, for example, 100 hours is taking us less than 10 hours.
So you build like an algorithm of some sort to say, I need to have these certain criteria built into the resume, search the resumes for these things, and weed out the resumes.
Exactly. So we've reduced our recruiting time. So now we're able to submit candidates to our clients within hours versus weeks.
Oh my God. It just changes the whole space of the world then. So people can implement this on the HR side, at the technical side. I imagine marketing. I spoke to somebody recently about marketing. They were talking about AI in the marketing world. And AI is a big tool. It can help people a lot of different ways, but you got to kind of know how to manage it. So for business owners in general, is there things that business owners generically can do to help integrate AI to their business?
Yeah, there's just so many ways to integrate AI beyond just Chat GPT, because you can have your own private Chat GPT in a way. A lot of companies are not aware that they can have their own private AI. It's almost like having your own private cloud that is protected from the general public, so you can set up everything about your business intelligence in it, and new employees that come in can search it and find anything they need about your business, the operation, the processes, everything. So from an HR perspective, it can really streamline your entire HR onboarding process, everything, accounting, billing, everything, like people search and get it. So it's not difficult to create your own Chat GPT. You just need expertise. and how to create agents for everything.
It sounds like it's something you guys can help with, then maybe with your.
Yeah, and that's why there's a need for managed services that people can manage your AI alongside your security and IT.
Okay. That's important because people kind of forget about the IT aspect, how it can help them both from productivity, but also security as well. And AI is a tool that can benefit you in so many different ways that you got to have your hands around. It's like a wild horse trying to tame a wild horse right now. And what do you do to guide it in the way you want it to go in the future? So AI integration with a business, whether it's IT services or it's HR services, marketing, general for business owners.
Because AI can be dangerous too, Craig, if if you don't have the proper security for your network. You could actually expose your business to a lot of threats if you're not using it properly. So that's why the two have to go hand in hand, like security and AI, so that you're not sharing information that could come back to haunt.
Right, back to the general public, or expose maybe even process. What do you call it? Competition processes and procedures. Right. I was just going to say, what if you have a special process no one has, and you accidentally leak it to them?
Yeah, you have a secret sauce that that's just for the business.
I heard recently that I had nothing to do with this, but the founder's great grandson of KFC leaked the secret sauce. Speaking of which, for KFC's signature herbs and spices. So we don't want AI doing that.
No, that's why you need an expert to come in that knows AI, knows IT, knows security, that can come in and say, "Hey, we're going to build a strategy around AI that's going to help your business, automation, efficiency, security, etc., etc., etc."
That's great. And what's scary,
and integrate marketing into it too, sales and marketing, CRM, clients, and all that.
Funny enough, I just did a podcast with someone who specializes in marketing. We talked, boy, it must have been 20. We had multiple topics, but I think we talked 25 minutes about AI. It was such an integral part of marketing. I just couldn't believe how much you can do with AI. And then I assume it's the same way for IT and for recruiting, and accountants. What we try and do is use it for the technical side, but we always, trust and verify. We verify that whatever data is coming back to us for research, that's verifiable. And
That's very smart.
Cause you can say, "Oh, I went on ChatGPT and it says this is the tax code." No, you have to trust it by verifying the source. Everything with accounting and legal and tax is source based, is a good source.
Well, yeah, and there's more to HI than research and information. It's streamlining processes, procedures, streamlining marketing, lead generation, all of that, sales, onboarding new employees, everything. Like you can have, like a lot of soldiers working for you almost for nothing.
Right.
If you know how to use it.
If you know how to use it, and that's somewhere where you can come in line. And you had mentioned something that kind of led me to another topic, is you said that AI can also expose you in the opposite end. It can actually expose you to whether it's a threat, or it accidentally leaks your secret sauce, or it brings in people you don't want there. But there's the topic we talked about earlier, which is a cyber attack event plan. And I think I call it the alphabet soup, but there's the XDR, MDR, EDR, WISP, SOC. Maybe do you want to talk what those acronyms mean, or do you want to kind of talk in general? But I thought we'd take 10 or 15 minutes to talk about
it. Yeah, everybody knows EDR, right, Craig? EDR is the managed antivirus and anti-malware and all that. It's it detects threats and all that, but MDR makes it more managed. Like, so what happens is EDR is just the basic entry level protection antivirus. MDR, you manage the detection process. Like you investigate, something came in, there's 24/7 people looking at these threats and trying to figure out what they are. And if they're an attack, they can triage a response to that attack so that it isolates, not just, okay, I'm an antivirus and I'm a robot. No, it's more than that. Now it's more like a whole response mechanism to an attack.
So you're managing the threat as opposed to just saying, okay, there's a threat, and you're like, great, there's a threat, but you're doing nothing about it. Now you have to manage it with the MDR side.
Yeah, I mean, what happens is in a non-managed environment, you're protecting against the threat, but it may not be protected. It might go through your network, and now it may be in your quarantine, but it hit other places, but nobody knows about it. And now the threat is brewing and growing because nobody's managing it. Right? It may have slipped through the cracks. It may have, like, so the automated, like having an EDR is like an entry level way, but then the MDR takes it to a different level of protection.
That takes it to the different level. Is there an XDR, or did I make that one up as well?
Yeah, the XDR is also like an EDR with more services to it, but it's still not managed. So the MDR is like, you can manage your EDR and XDR, in a managed environment.
Okay. And you guys use certain, I think EDR, I forgot what the one it was, but there's ones you guys use. I'm sure there's other ones.
Well, yeah, we use Sentinel-1 now because Sentinel-1 is the most common, the most powerful one that's common to the small businesses.
I always see that. I was just looking at my software here, and it popped something. The Sentinel-1 popped up, and I'm thinking, yeah, that's the EDR we have. We used to have McAfee and Norton, but those just don't seem to be as robust as the Sentinel-1 you guys use. That's great. And I know as tax professionals, the IRS requires all CPA firms to have a WISP plan in place, and that's something very specific, which is if there's a cyber attack, what are your steps and processes you'll do to prevent, data leaking? Our data leaking is social security numbers and people's names and addresses, and that's just terrifying, let alone how much money people make. That could be really damaging to our clients. So we have to have a WISP plan in place. And we a lot of times use CPA firms, use IT firms like yourself to help put a WISP plan in place. And it's something you guys work with. And also there's SOC. SOC's a little bit different. I think I don't have as much knowledge on SOC as I do WISP. You'd mentioned that one earlier as well. Not Sarbanes-Oxley. It's a different acronym.
Yeah. The SOC is just to create again, they're all, I don't want to get too specific, but they're all under the general managing, triaging threats and how do you prevent against them and how do you react if something happens.
And I always call them just the alphabet soup. It's just a load of different acronyms, but in the end, it all means protect yourself.
I like that.
Alphabet soup of cyber attack plans. And cyber attack plans means being proactive with your company and not just, you said, just passively, what are you doing for your cyber attack? Oh yeah, I got Norton antivirus. And what are you doing with that? That's not action. That's just a thing. You need to do something with that. So you can't rely, like you said, solely on the software. You need people involved like you and your team to help manage the threats.
Yeah. And with 24/7, there's AI involved as well, but there's a human behind the AI. So the AI is gonna try to triage and find out, and it will feed us the intelligence so that we're steps ahead. It's like, hey, Craig's computer got hacked, with this virus. He's not able to, it's already spread and it's gone from him to Gina to, and it's spreading across the network. And I've isolated Craig, but we need to isolate Gina and from the network and so forth. So now it's given us information that the human has to make decisions. We give you a call and say, Craig, please, this is what's going on. If you notice an eruption, we're working on we're triaging the issue now, and we're trying to resolve it.
And it makes people like me, accounting firm owners or business owners. I do taxes and accounting, and I'm a specialist, but when I get outside my lane of something that's IT related or cyber attack related, I'm out of my elements. While I've done WISP plans and I know what procedures, it still doesn't mean I know what, how to implement things. So it's always important to use a firm like yourself and have someone on your team that specializes in this, because it's an ever evolving process, ever evolving field, and you can't know everything about it. So it's great to have someone like you on your side.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it is very important to have an expert that knows, cybersecurity and knows how to uh, make sure that you not only like uh, preventing the attack, but also responding to the attack as soon as possible and swiftly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's a lot of different ways to go forward, and it's good we talked about it. If you make people aware of it, and then they can talk more to their team or to you to discuss it more. And you mentioned you do two sides of the house. You do a lot of the IT, but you also have another part where you're more, I don't want to say technical, but highly skilled professionals, engineers, and professionals and lawyers.
Yeah, so in 2019, Craig, I started a new company that focuses on recruiting talent, high skilled talent. What I found out, like there are many companies that I do IT for, they're always looking for talent and they're having high turnover, or they're hiring the wrong talent, and or it takes them so long to find talent. And they would always ask me, like, Ray, do you know a software engineer? Do you know an IT, cybersecurity person? We need to grow our team. And so I knew a lot of people, and I was matchmaking them with the talent. When one of my friends realized, I was telling him the story, and he's like, Ray, you know that you're offering your services for free. You're really good at this. And you're, and he's like, there's a whole line of business you could do in talent matchmaking. We call them staffing agencies or recruiting agencies. And that's when I was like, I was thinking about it, but when I heard it over and over that, hey, you need to start a recruiting company, I did it. So 2019 is when I started a new company called Doriga Recruiting, or Doriga Services, and it focuses more on finding these high skilled, rare talents and matchmaking them to open positions. And then I started in the DoD space, and now we've expanded to several other industries: manufacturing, construction, and financial, and so forth.
Yeah, it's interesting because when the universe tells you something over and over again, you have to listen. If it's saying, "Hey, you're good at this. You're good at putting people together. It's a skill you have. Don't waste it by just doing it for free. Make a plan and help people with this, and you can utilize your services to help other businesses, and it's something you're good at." It's funny, if you listen carefully, I heard you mention it. The universe will speak to you sometimes. It sounds like it was to you. You got to keep your ears open.
You just have to listen.
You got to listen. And when you help these people do the matchmaking in your own business, and you're your own HR person as well, how do you hold your employees accountable? Do you have some type of, you measure it, you manage it kind of method, or?
Yeah, and that's a very good question, because I do presentations at the UCF, business school. They call it the exchange, where they invite me over to talk to different students in the business schools. A lot of them have entrepreneurial aspirations, and they want to start their own businesses. And part of my presentation is, like one of the questions one of the students asked me is like, what is the most common mistake an entrepreneur uh, for entrepreneurs? Like, what is the most common mistake, like, that could lead to failure? And I said, accountability, accountability, accountability. Yeah, they talk about cash flow, and I know that's so important.
Well, that's my world, but yeah, I got you. But you're right. It's beyond that. It's just, that's numbers.
How do you hold your employees accountable? Do you have the proper metrics? Are you able to let someone go when they don't meet their metrics? Now, you can create boundaries and metrics, but if you don't enforce them, they're useless.
Good point. That's a really good point. That's the hard part of being a business owner is having the ramifications.
Yeah, like, if you tell a recruiter, listen, you have to have one interview per week, for example, with interview, you have to uh, score an interview per week for our client, and they're constantly, they can't do that. They can't do 10 submissions per week, for example, for a position, and they're constantly behind. They're not able to meet that goal, even if you mentor them and show them. And at some point you're going to say, listen, if you don't meet that goal, I'm going to give you 2 weeks or 30 days or whatever it is, and if you're not meeting that goal, you won't be here anymore. These are tough things. A lot of business owners and entrepreneurs and managers are not able to they able to do that.
No, it's hard because you want to like everyone you work for. You want to be the guy everyone likes, and you forget sometimes you got to be the heavy. You got to be the guy or girl or the woman, whatever it is, to be there to kind of lay down the law and say, listen, these rules are here in place. You're gonna. I understand there's gonna be times when you're gonna break them, but if it's a continual thing, this is the metric. This is how I hold a standard to my clientele. And if it's getting broken, then I'm not delivering the service that I promised. We have to keep on track with that.
Yeah, and they need to understand, like, how important their role is to the big picture, to the business, like how it leads to income, and that income is what pays their salary. It's like money doesn't grow on trees. And I think when you have employees, sometimes you gotta tell them, hey, the reason I'm enforcing this, not because I don't like you, is I need to generate business that pays the bills, pays the electric bill, pays your salary, pays everything.
Exactly. You're right. That salary. That's a really good point. And it sounds like to the employees' ears that you're being unnecessarily harsh, but actually it's not. It's kind of a labor of love in a way. It's like you're holding them to a higher standard. You're making them even better than they were before. And that's what everyone wants to do is achieve a higher standard of abilities and achievements.
And that's why we do something called level 10, Craig. We use the EOS system or traction, where every week we meet with the employees and we discuss everyone's scorecards. Every week we go over it and see, like, how close are they to their goals. Whether their customer service role, goals, or their sales goals, or recruiting goals, or whatever that metric is. And if they don't meet their goals, they've got to tell us why, what is going on. And that's in front of the entire company. Every week we go through that. And it's a 90-minute meeting that we conduct, but it holds everybody accountable. And they know that they have to come to that meeting prepared. Because if they come in and say, I don't know why I didn't meet my goals, okay, now you're not meeting the core values of the company. The core values of the company is to be exceptional in what you do and to be open and honest and so we hold them accountable to the core values of the company. And, so you're not meeting the core values of the company. I'm sorry, but this might not be a good fit for you. So I think employers are scared to enforce core values, but they're doing the employees a disfavor by having them be in a position they cannot perform.
You're right. And you're not teaching them good skills, and also you're not making them better. If you can hold them to accountable to a certain standard, and they can achieve or exceed it, and then what you want to do is incentivize them to exceed it, maybe with some kind of bonus structure. Bigger company ESOP plans or stock plans, top hat plans, but if nothing else, maybe a little bonus or recognition saying, oh, wow, this person's done a stellar job. It makes them want to achieve, to a higher.
Yeah, exactly. We do have a lot of incentives for recruiters, like for appointments, like how many interviews they do, how many placements. There's always incentives and bonuses. However, there's consequences for not meeting these goals. And they have to justify it in the level 10 meeting and say, the reason I didn't meet these goals was like environment change, or I had a sick child that I was caring for 2 weeks, or whatever it is. but they need to have a good reason why, and they need to be able to verbalize that.
Teach some communication skills too, if nothing else, which is important. That's great. That's good. You have that metrics in. You put a metrics in place. You have a meeting. You hold them accountable. Hold a standard for your company, and then that lets the people know who work with you know that they're going to receive the same kind of service. And it's nice you probably have cross train among employees as well. So if my IT something happens with my system and you guys are doing my IT, and you're one person who's doing IT isn't there, you got another person. I know then, okay, well, just because somebody's not there, there's another person there who's cross trained on, so there's always somebody with that skill set available. That's good. That's great. And we talked about this a little bit, but you know, in the sense of trends, and I'll speak to both your businesses, but what are some of the latest trends in either your IT side of the business or on the recruiting side of the business? And I'm sure there's a lot we covered today, but is there anything you want to kind of touch upon that's outside those topics you talked about for either in business you work with?
One of the trends I discuss is, is like it's having an antivirus. Like it used to be, the gold standard in protection. Now it's entry level. So you need to have a SOC or a SIM plan, they call it, to make sure that, or an MDR, whatever you call it. It's all acronyms.
Alphabet soup, yeah.
And manage response, so that because cybersecurity has become a big cause of businesses going out of business.
Is there anything in the line of from your point of view, errors and I guess there's errors and emissions insurance, but also along with that, there's also cyber attack policies you can buy at professional policies in place where you can purchase that to help support your business in case there's a cyber attack and someone demands money. I think there's different insurance plans in place.
There are the insurance plans, but you got to be careful. Insurance plans are going to try not to pay out, because they're going to find a way to say you're not well protected. You didn't do your due diligence. You've never had a vulnerability scan. There are a lot of fine prints. So a lot of business owners don't realize, they don't read the fine print, and they think, oh, I got insurance. Well, yeah, you do. But the insurance is going to look, before they pay you $1 million or 100,000, they're going to try to find a reason not to pay it.
Good point. I never thought of that. So you need to have your ducks in a row and read the fine print. But if you have a WISP plan or a very detailed plan with a professional like you, that fine print should be more than that.
That protects you. Exactly. Because they're going to ask for that plan. And if you don't provide it, oh, I don't have a plan. They're going to look at you. It's like, okay, maybe I don't have the money to pay you either,
Yeah, you don't have the plan. I don't have the money, funny enough. It's funny how that works. And you mentioned that you do presentations over at UCF, but you're more than that. You're a mentor to a lot of students over there. How does that work? How does that work with you? I've heard somebody say the saying, when you teach, you learn. Have you found that?
Yeah, so you do like a speed networking thing at UCF where they match you interview about 30 people in 1 hour, maybe, or 1 hour and a half, and they so you sit at a table and they bring student after student. They're called mentees, that who want to start their business, or they need help with their career. They don't know if they're in the right major, or a bunch of questions, and you talk to them and you mentor them, and you find out what their aspirations are and their dream jobs are and what are they good at, and try to mentor them into selecting the right career, selecting the right job, presenting themselves. If they have like a lot of them are entrepreneurs that I've mentored, and they're scared and like to borrow money, or and I told him, like, hey, when I started my first business, I was in so much debt, but I believed in it. And so I borrowed money, anytime I could. And then, when the business picked up, I paid off my debts, and I'm good. But But you gotta take risks. You can't say I'm an entrepreneur and I'm scared to do anything and wait for things to happen. You have to put your money where your mouth is.
It is scary. It's funny that you say that because no matter what age you are starting a business, it is a scary thing. And sometimes even in the middle of owning a business for years, there's going to be lean times and successful times.
Ups and downs.
It's like a roller coaster. If you're owning a business, is like having being on a roller coaster, ups and downs, and
Yeah, people think, oh, you're an entrepreneur, like, oh, you made it. And it's like, you have the life, but you can do whatever you want. Well, it's not that easy.
you need like one of those air sickness bags from an airplane because you're getting jostled left and right, up and down. You're just trying to hang on some days, and sometimes you're in full control. So yeah, I get that.
Yeah, but because now it's you just kill what you eat. You eat what you kill, basically, and you're the end all.
You are as a business owner, and you forget you got a whole team.
Yeah, you can't tell your employees, sorry, this month I'm not doing payroll. I'm sorry, like, hey, we didn't sell enough things. So as an entrepreneur, you got to find the money, or or you can't keep people hanging.
And you keep sleepless nights, and people don't realize owning a business is sleepless nights. And some days, you wake up going, my God, I hope it's going to work out today and this week. And then it always does somehow. When you're doing the right thing and you're aligned with your goals and your principles, I've found in a weird way, the universe has a way of saying, look, you are doing the right thing. The money comes in as you need it. And then, you start going on the right trends and the right track, but when you're in the right place. And like you said, you listen to your heart and all that, and you go the right direction. And those are challenges. And then successes. Have you had any big successful moments you've thought about where you're like, oh, wow, yeah, I remember this happened and it was because I did this ahead of time, or something you can attribute a successful event or change in the business you can remember clearly on the other end? Maybe like
When I was working with the recruiting for the DoD space, I noticed that there was CMMC documentation, CMC requirements by the DoD becoming like it's going to be mandatory soon. But there was a talk about a cybersecurity certification. I saw an opportunity there. So, because I was talking to business owners in the DoD space, defense contractors, and they're like, man, this might be passing as a law. I don't know what we're going to do. There's a lot of controls in there, like we have to meet or we won't be. So I realized there's fear and there's ambiguity. And so I took advantage of that situation, and I created a division at Doriga that handles only CMMC.
and just for people who don't know, DoD, Department of Defense, but the other CMMC, can you maybe just say what the acronym stands for, just so people can know?
Yeah, it's the Cyber Maturity Model Certification. So every company that does business with the government by end of October has to show that they have CMMC certification, or they're working towards it, or they won't get any business from the DoD, this Department of Defense, which includes Army, Navy, Marines, anything related to defense. You know, and in next year in 2026, they're also spreading that to the entire government.
Wow, they're really serious about this. I imagine this not something you can get overnight. I imagine this is something that's probably difficult to achieve.
I mean, it takes about 90 days to get certified and to get to compliance stage. Then after that, you have to have have someone to come and certify you. But it's a long process. But a lot of companies are dragging their feet, and unfortunately, uh, when the law when it becomes
Yeah, in law, you got to be there. Can't be.
so now you got to wait in line, and that could mean like you may lose your business while waiting in line.
Yeah, you're ahead of the game. So within the time frame, you're compliant, and now you won't have to be on 90 days out.
So now we're urging a lot of DoD contractors to start now, even though it's not mandatory yet. But don't wait till the last minute, because people like us who work on readiness, CMMC readiness, are going to be super busy. And we can't, like, there's so much capacity. There's not a lot of people doing what we do.
It's you took something, you took a pivot point, and you started down that road and trying to get ahead of the game, which is smart. And not only that, you'll be in the front of the line or be already in compliance by the time it's implemented, and you won't have to sit there and go, I got to start all over again. I lost contracts because of this. People won't work with me.
Not only that, you lose that business, you're a competition.
Oh, and once you lose it, it's gone. I mean, you're not. It'd be very hard to win it.
Yeah, I mean, you can't bid on a contract and so, oh, sorry, you don't have the compliance certification. You're not working on it. I'm sorry, you can't bid. It's be one of the requirements on every government bid.
And you winning that bid is a huge project, because getting a bid with the government is just, I imagine, is a difficult process.
Well, yeah, it could be millions of dollars, like, and that's a lot of defense contractors, the mini Lockheeds and the smaller, of course, the Lockheed Martins and the Northrop Grummons and all and Boeing, they already have that certification. What's lagging are the smaller, medium-sized contractors that are subs usually to the Lockheeds and the Northrop. They're subcontractors usually.
What do they call that? Research row or something? What do they call that by UCF? Some kind of acronym.
The research park, yeah, research park.
Yeah, it's a research park, yeah.
Well, there's a lot of companies there, but all over the U.S., in Virginia, Northern Virginia, and Colorado Springs, and San Diego. I mean, we've got a lot of companies, that are not certified. Like, less than half the small businesses have started thinking about CMMC,
and they're going to be behind the eight ball, and you're thinking about it ahead of time and see what you can do to help maybe you could help the community.
So that's when I realized the need, and now we have business coming our way because we started the marketing campaign, promoting the CMMC to companies and saying, like, hey, this is important. Let's educate you, and by realizing that there's an opportunity there, I think that's one of the things that I think is helping Doriga a lot now in the cyber realm.
When you can latch onto something, find an idea that no one else is kind of privy to, it makes you in a niche. And when you're in that niche, then you own that space a lot better.
Yeah, like I think Einstein said that need is the mother of all inventions, right? So you realize there's a need, and you create a solution or a product. And I realized there's not enough CMMC, and I did that. Like, I created a whole solution, a whole department, a whole specialization, and we go to market strategy. And I think that's one example, Craig, of what we've done.
I was going to say, that sounds like something you've done throughout your whole career. It sounds like something you've always taken into consideration. You always ahead of the eight ball and looking to the future, and that's great. And I think that's going to get you to the future. And I think now I want to flip and look in the past. I want to get to know you, Ray, as a person. I've known you now, I want to say going on 10 years, maybe.
Yeah.
But I know Ray 10 years to today, but I want to get to know you. Like, I'm going to go back to the birth. Like, where were you born? What's your family? Do you have any siblings? How did you grow up? Did you play any instruments? Like, tell me everything. Start from the beginning.
So I grew up in Lebanon, in Beirut.
Did you really?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so I grew. It was war-ravaged Beirut. It was when I left in '82.
Did you speak a different language back then as well? I mean, you spoke fluent.
Yeah, I spoke. I've always spoke English, and I've always, Arabic, French, and English are my three languages. Like growing up in Lebanon.
Did you have schooling in English, or does the schooling in?
Yeah, the high school that I went to was affiliated with the American University of Beirut, and so everything we learned was in English, like science, math, social sciences, you name it. It was all English, even philosophy. and so forth. So
So they ingrained you and embedded you in the English language from a young age.
yes, so I grew up speaking English like before coming to the U.S. I came to attend a university. I wanted to get my higher education in the U.S. So I applied and I got a full ride. You know, I started in Kalamazoo, Michigan, at Western.
I know that area very well. My son goes to school up there.
Western, the Broncos, and I started there. And then I could not stand the cold weather, so I U-hauled I rented a U-Haul, got it. I put, I hitched it to my Camaro, and I drove all the way in the winter time to Florida.
Wow. And so my son just played Kalamazoo last week in football. He's in Grand Rapids, which is around the corner from Kalamazoo, maybe an hour away. And he does the opposite every time. Every year he's got to take himself from Florida up to school, and he can't wait to get back again when it's nice and warm. So yeah, same as you. He feels that pain of going up there to the cold. A lot of people don't like that.
Yeah, so I wasn't used to it growing in Beirut, which had a weather like California, like doesn't get too not freezing cold like Michigan. You know, so when I moved here, I was like, man, I've never had my feet freeze. Like frozen feet. Like I couldn't even move my toes. Like I don't like that feeling. So that's when I made a decision to move. I applied to UF in Gainesville and I got accepted in the Double E program, and I moved to Gainesville.
Why you never look back?
So I finished there, and when I finished school, war was still going on in Lebanon. And I'm like, what am I gonna go there? There are no jobs, people fighting. Like so I said the best thing to do is continue my higher education. And I've always liked Orlando, so I moved to I got accepted at UCF for the MBA program.
Oh, that's okay. Now I see the affiliation. Right, you went to school there.
So I moved to Orlando, and then while I'm here, I applied for citizenship, the green card, and I got accepted, and the rest is history.
So tell me about your parents. Were they working? Obviously full time there, or how did that work with your family and your?
Yeah, yeah. My parents were, both working. My dad was worked abroad the entire time, so I didn't see him as much as I wanted to because he traveled a lot. My mom was a school teacher in Lebanon. She taught Shakespeare and English literature, and to high school students and then university. So I would go with her to plays and watch Shakespeare and movies and Romeo and Juliet and Julius Caesar and all that. So
No, I was saying something. She has patience and intelligence. You have the ability to teach English in an area under such conditions, and then at the same time, such a high level of English with Shakespeare. I mean, very intelligent and sounds like a very patient and amazing woman.
yeah, so I learned a lot from my mom. My dad was a serial entrepreneur. I learned a lot from him. He always was able to pinpoint opportunities and capitalize on it. So he taught me a lot to take risk. He was a risk taker, but I mean, and he did like gambling a little bit, but I never took that from him. Thank God. Like but he wasn't like a heavy gambler, but he enjoyed it.
But it took the risk. I see that you. I can see that in you a bit. You like to take risks, but you're more of a calculated risk person, not an uncalculated risk type.
Yeah, I think my dad would go a little further than I did. So and I did something I think like that I'm proud of. Like I did never put my eggs in one basket. And I tell that to all entrepreneurs. Like even if your business is doing well, take money out, put it in investments. You never know. And don't put all your money in your business. Like once you start making money. Now in the beginning, yes, to get it going, but then when you're generating income, start creating a portfolio of things, of investments, vehicles like stocks and bonds and mutual funds and life and insurance products, and spread your risk across multiple businesses, which includes yours. Yours is just another business.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to try and have an investment advisor on here to talk about that to entrepreneurs, the importance of investing, how to invest, where to invest, and what ways you can do it, whether it's retirement. And that's a really good point to talk about that because people forget about it. So you've had quite an interesting background moving from Lebanon over here to America, and then from Michigan, such a cold, unforgiving area, especially up in Kalamazoo and that area, and then down to Florida and doing a. Did you do this all on your own? Were you with your mom, or did you do it on your own?
No, just by myself. I was 18 years old when I moved to the United States. So I had my first Thanksgiving in Michigan, and it was one of the students that was left. He saw me in the dorms by myself, and as Thanksgiving, he said, "What are you doing for Thanksgiving?" I said, "I don't know, Thanksgiving. What do you normally do?" He's like, "You're not gonna be there by yourself. You coming with me to meet my family." And he took me, and I was like, and that was my first Thanksgiving. I was 18, and I went there with his family somewhere in Michigan, by about an hour from Kalamazoo. I can't even remember where it
Could
was.
have been Grand Rapids. I'm joking. I don't know.
It was like Muskegon, like a small town. I don't know where, but and and I was like, I saw the turkey and the gravy and the mashed potatoes and the sweet potatoes and the green bean casseroles, and I'm like, I told him, what kind of food is that? And I thought the U.S. America is all hamburgers and French fries and hot dogs.
Burgers and French fries, right? That's what everybody thinks.
And he said, well, we have this kind of food too. Now in Lebanon, we never knew about that. Like growing up, I didn't know. So I used to go to Uncle Sam a lot. Like it's a little pub restaurant next to my school. It's always hamburgers and fries and hot dogs and wings.
That's what everybody thinks America is. It's so funny you say that. You're right. People get that impression.
So when I saw that food, I was like, man, you guys know how to cook. I had no idea.
And Thanksgiving is something nowhere else celebrates, and even other countries don't even know what Thanksgiving is over here. So it's
But it's very elaborate dishes, like, so I was my first Thanksgiving, and I felt really welcome in the US. I felt like, okay, I mean, this country is like likes immigrants. They like people to come in and immigrate, and they want to it's a melting pot. I mean, he started to.
they do, and it's funny. The people up north, I feel even more. And not saying any other region, but the north are very good. Just I don't know, salt of the earth, good people up there, and you couldn't have been in a better place to start your journey into America because they're just good people in that area.
Yeah, so I was like, I felt at home. I called my mom. It's like, and these Americans, like, they embraced me as one of them, you know. Yeah, and I watched football during Thanksgiving, and so I was integrated into Americana, you know, during that Thanksgiving dinner.
You're like, this is something different. I want some more of this, but because you won't see it from the outside, people see it. It's like, well, it's burgers and steaks and this or that, and people don't really get together. What we do, there is community within in the U.S. in different areas.
Yeah, and like I watched football for the first time. And I was like, I used to think football is boring. They stop and go and stop and go. But then I was like, I really enjoyed that 3.5 hours of stop and go, because during the stop and go, we had great conversations, and, it was a social time and eating time and just commenting time. So I understood why, in America, we love football.
Absolutely, it's a pastime. And on Thanksgiving, as you know, there's always certain teams that play, and everybody stops and watches it. And I think they say Thanksgiving is the most traveled holiday of anything. Everybody from school comes home from college, as you experienced. Even you weren't allowed to be staying back in school. We bring everybody comes back to their family. It's the one holiday you can almost count, even more than Christmas, where everybody's together.
Yeah, I mean, it was my experience, and if you tell me what you remember, I think that was the highlight of my year in Kalamazoo, is that Thanksgiving dinner, and meeting my friends' families. as cousins and all that. I was the only stranger there.
Yeah, but they welcomed you. You didn't probably feel, you may have been a stranger, but I bet they didn't make you feel like a stranger. They made you probably feel warmly.
Oh, they never made me feel that way. No, and they're all asking me questions about my family, about my upbringing, and uh, food and culture, and I was like, man, they don't even know me. They invited me. That's kind of interesting, and also very warm of them to do that.
There is a lot of good people in America, and it's a nice. I mean, what you've been through, from your childhood, and being that war torn, some of the areas you were in, and then having like your mom as an oasis in a way, kind of taking you into the cultures and seeing, you know, Shakespeare and things. I mean, that's really special. And your dad teaches entrepreneurship.
And one thing I want to say, Craig, is America, like the America I knew when I moved in the '80s, is different than the one I'm now, uh, uh, which is a bit. I'm a bit sad to see, that rift. That even Democrats and Republicans were friends, and now, like, I think that we're polarized a little bit.
We are getting polarized, unfortunately.
And people hate each other, and that wasn't the case then. So I'm sad to see that.
It's dialogue is missing. That's what it is dialogue. And I don't know if it's social media or what it is, but it's taking away the ability to people to have a normal, reasonable. That's the thing, is you should have friends you don't agree with and be able to have a nice civil dialogue and say, at the end of this, I still feel the same, you feel the same, but we talked about it, and that's okay. We can be different. But instead, the people just get angry and upset and shut. It's just have a difference of opinion. That's all it is. A dialogue is dialogue.
Yeah, and free speech was one of the attractions for me to come to the US, because it's one of the few countries, and that allows they cherish free speech. It was like a First Amendment, to say what you think, and be safe about it. Because in Lebanon, when I came here during the war, you can't say everything that's on your mind. You may get in trouble, you may go to jail, you may get shot or whatever. So now I'm seeing things here like, well, wait a minute, this is America. What's going on here? Like, we're supposed to be able to deliver our free speech with safety. So it makes me sad to see what's going on.
It is sad, and it's a really big testament to what's changing the environment in the last decades or so, and it really needs to kind of be about the dialogue, and like you said, having people that can have different opinions, and you don't want to go back and regress, beyond anything we've ever had. We never really had that in the past. It's not even regressing, it's just a free fall, because like you mentioned, where you were, you couldn't really have the free speech. We don't want to go to that kind of state of being. We want to be more elevated than that and have ability to talk. And
Either side, wherever side you're in, you should be able to voice your opinion safely.
100%, 100%, I agree. And it's sad it's come to that. There's a lot. You've had quite an experience, Ray. I mean, I tell you, things I learned about you today I never knew, and I'm really glad you shared everything.
Yeah, and one thing I didn't tell you, I'm a big piano player.
Oh, you did mention that. I'm sorry. So that was that going classically trained because from your mom, or did that come from somewhere else?
So I was 6 years old, and my mom used to force me to take piano lessons, and uh, and uh, and then at one day, 2 years later, it clicked, and I was like, man, I really like this. I'm playing really cool classical songs, and I'm able, and I started enjoying the practice. I started enjoying, and I did it until I was 18, and so that's one of my secrets, Craig. Is I'm a classical pianist.
Wow. So you're able to channel some of your creativity into piano and use that as an outlet as well, it sounds like.
Yeah, I used to zone out like 4 hours playing, trying to get a piece, like these Chopin pieces and polonaises and all these hard to play pieces. And it was a challenge for me. And I would practice 4 or 5 hours. And it was great to have that, because during the war, there's nothing else. Like, you can't get out of your house. You can't. So I took that energy and focused on playing piano.
And it's an oyster to the pearl. It turns you into like a better person. It brings you into a better state. That's amazing. Your past turns you into who you are, and you're a great person. You've done some hard things and some really achieved amazing things as well. And I think people need to learn how to reach you, and so they can work with you in your business. Is there ways they can reach you? Is there a best way to reach you directly, Ray?
Yeah, I mean, just email ray@doriga.com, or also they can call the main number, Doriga's phone number. Reach me that way. They can find me on LinkedIn. I'm the only Ray Bazzi there on LinkedIn.
Okay.
I think there's no other Ray Bazzi.
I the person I just talked to before we did a podcast. I think his name was Dan Brown. I'm like, that's not going to work. We're going to need something more specific than that, because I guarantee there's more than one Dan Brown out there.
Another thing I did, like I have 2 websites that I got to help people. Also, one of them is at nightrecruiting.com, like because I'm a UCF Knight grad.
Oh, Knight, KNIGHT?
Yeah, K with a K, like Knight Recruiting.
KNIGHT recruiting with the ING. Okay, .com.
I created also another one is on the recruiting side. It's called DoD Recruiting for DoD companies, DoDrecruiting.com.
DoDrecruiting.com. Okay.
But the Doriga.com takes you to all of those websites.
That's where they'll go then. Okay. So DIRIGA.com, Doriga.com is a starting point and gets you both your email, your phone number, and those other websites.
Everything. Yeah, everything you need.
Okay. And I think it's important for people to know you don't just do the IT, you do the professional recruiting. You work with the Department of Defense. You have a high level of standard of your protection for your IT.
Compliance is a big factor, a big product for us. Any type of compliance, IT, whether it's HIPAA or a CMMC or, like FINRA or any type of compliance, we're good at making sure companies are compliant with their, with the standards of their industry, with the industry standards.
That's great, Ray. I really appreciate it. I know our listeners are going to love to listen to this conversation, and I really appreciate you, and thank you for being on our show.
Thank you. Thank you, Kurt.
You're absolutely well. And that brings us to the end of another episode. I will see you on the next episode.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Behind Closed Books podcast requires more than a conversation. It takes action, research, and collective wisdom. If today's episode resonated with you, we'd love to hear your insights. Join the conversation and help us shape the future together. We'll be back with more stories, strategies, and real-world solutions that are making a difference for everyone. In the meantime, be sure to subscribe, rate, write a review, and share it with someone you think would benefit from it too. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.